set the stage for the audience a little bit and talk a little bit about Alex and your background, because you have a pretty interesting background. And I want to start off with a story that I really love, and I want you to share it with the audience. And I want to hear it again because I think it's just like one of those entrepreneur stories that just, really just illustrates your kind of hustle and like the vision you have about, what you've built up until now. And so talk us through, Alex at 14 and, you walk by the computer, take us back to your childhood there and tell us a little bit more about that. And then how that kind of shaped you moving forward as an entrepreneur.
So I actually have to go back to when I was 4 years of age. But first and foremost, Brian, thanks a lot for inviting me. An honor for me to share this time, not only with your audience, but in particular with you. It's always a pleasure. So yeah, when I saw my oldest memory in life is seeing a computer for the first time. Like I have that very vivid memory. I was 4 years of age. I saw a computer. I could control what was on the screen with the keyboard. And it was a car video game, I remember. And up until then, the only screen that I could control was the TV. And you could change back in the day. I'm originally from Colombia. We had two channels, channel 7 and channel 9. That's it. So those are the only two things that you could do. Now, with this computer, like you could do many things with the screen. And that was for me shocking. And I became obsessed with the idea of having a computer. Now, I come from a modest family. We used to live in the outskirts of Bogota. We didn't have money for a car, much less for a computer. But I didn't know better. So I kept bugging every person that I came across with, that telling them that I wanted a computer. My dad had left home when I was 1 year old. And he, after bugging him a lot over the phone, with the idea, he finally told me, okay, you're going to school now. So if you get the best degrees in your school, I'm going to get you that computer. And I was 5 by then. I started in a school that had 3,000 people from primary school all the way to high school. And it took me 1 year and a half, but finally I got the best grades of the entire school. I became a hardcore nerd, trying to get the best scores, of course. And I got it. And I went back and I told my mom, hey, listen, mom, can you please get me in touch with my dad? I was 6 years old now. And after 2 weeks or so, I was finally able to get a hold of him. I told him, listen, dad, the challenge you gave me, I was able to accomplish it. So now you can get me that computer you promised me. This is 1984. So what is it, 36 years ago now, 37 years ago? To this day, I'm waiting for the computer. He didn't give me the computer ever, so that's why many people say that I have daddy issues, and I believe them when they tell me that. In fact, my last name is not my dad's last name any longer. But anyway, I continue not only being obsessed with the idea of being like a very competitive student, but continue with being obsessed with the idea of having a computer. And it was only when I was 14 that I finally figured how I could get it, and that is because I had a savings on a bank account that had saving accounts for kids. And a few weeks before I turned 15, I got a letter from them, a pamphlet, telling me, hey, we are going to upgrade your kids account over to an adult's account. And you're going to get all of these benefits, like a debit card and this and that. And I remember the very last one was a loan. We'll now loan you money. And I thought, well, that's great. Finally, I'm going to be able to buy the computer. So I figured that I needed that I could buy a computer and then use the computer to set up a business and use the proceeds of that business to pay back that loan. And this is 1990. This is 1992. The idea of transcribing the thesis documents of university students to the computer was becoming popular, because before that they had to like use the typewriter, and every time they got some kind of feedback from the professors, they had to like retype everything. But now, even if they didn't have a computer, many university students wanted to have their thesis and other long documents on a digital format. So the idea of se pasan trabajos a computadora, signs on streets that say we transcribe your homeworks to the computer, became popular in some places in Colombia, and I decided to offer that service. So I got the only friend I had whose brother had a computer to print a sign that said we do this, and this is my phone number, this is my address, and we posted that on all of the posts and walls that I could find on my neighborhood. The early days of spam, right? So you just post signs on the street all over the place, and people started arriving to my home and like knocking on the door, like, "Hey, we noticed that you guys do this. Uh, how much is it?" And etc. etc. And the first thing I realized is that people wouldn't trust me because they saw me being too young. So I had to start uh, faking it and saying, "No, it's my mom, but she's not here, but I can give you information about this." Uh, and then I gave them different prices and different time frames to see what kind of how much money and how about demand we could actually get out of that. And some people started saying, "Okay, yes, here is what I need you to transcribe." And so then I had to lie again because we didn't have a computer. So I had to tell them, "Oh no, we have like 2 months of queue, so thank you, but maybe next time." But that information, I took it and I realized, okay, I have a business in here that I could potentially, after 2 years of doing data entry work, I'm going to be able to pay back for the loan that I get. So I went to the bank, I waited online to talk to the teller. And when I got to the teller, I told him, "Hey, I'm looking for a loan based on this pamphlet that you guys sent me. I turned 15 yesterday, so like I can get the loan now." And of course, the guy cracked up. I didn't know why. I don't have a clear memory of what happened in there because I got really mad, so it's kind of blurry.
Yeah.
But I remember then ending at the office of the manager of that branch of the bank, with she being really concerned and asking me questions about like, why are you asking for money? Where are your parents? Are you okay? Like she was really concerned that I was like asking for money in a bank. And eventually she got it, and then I started like pitching my idea, and not realizing I ended up making my first business pitch to her. And she gave me some paperwork, asked me to fill out some forms, and around 4 days later, I went back to the bank, and she gave me a loan of 820,000 pesos, which is kind of $800, which combined with the $50 or so that I had saved allowed me to buy my first computer. Clone machine in Unilago, Bogota, a place that you're very familiar with, as you also started doing business in Colombia there, as I believe, a clone computer, and that was my first business. And because it was only me, I was. I mean, it was even though it was only me, I was working 3 4 hours per day at most. But I had plenty of time to think about that. I ended up naming that business Apache Axe Cybernetic Enterprises. And because my mom is an attorney, I had to add at the very end, limitada, limited. Right? So that was my
So
business.
let's just say that you weren't a marketing genius as a kid.
I didn't know what marketing was, and I still think that I suck at it. But but I had some intuition, I guess. But innovation. Scarcity brings innovation, and that's why I don't consider myself an entrepreneur out of passion. Like I don't like entrepreneurship per se. What I like is technology. I like innovation, and for me, entrepreneurship has been the way of affording more and better innovation, more and better impact with those things that we can innovate.
Yeah, well, despite you, maybe not having the foresight on the branding at that age, but actually the marketing and the promotion, you got the interest for the customer first, right? And so there's a lesson there, right? I mean, you went out and you built the demand for your product, and then you went out and you figured out how to get the thing that enabled you to deliver the service. And so what happens then? You get this check, walk me through like what's next, and then what happens from there.
So I got the check. I had actually didn't get the check. It was cash. I was really afraid because you don't want to walk around with cash in Colombia, right?
So
So
you had cash. You had cash at
yeah,
this point. Okay. All
yeah,
right.
I got the cash, and So I had had the chance of quoting like 1,000 different stores that sold computers. So I already knew which store I wanted to go to. So I go there and I got my first computer, a 386 machine, a clone as we used to call it. With actually, I recently this I got the same. I'm going to screen the camera here. I
Okay.
got the same printer, or at least the same model of the printer that I used back in the day for doing my work. It's an Epson. I don't even remember the model name. LX810. A matrix, a dot matrix printer in there. Anyway, that was the computer, and it was hard because I got the loan only for a year instead of the 2 years. So my mom had to help me. My grandmother, she was 82 back then. She learned how to use the computer to help me, and it was really funny because she never got the concept of saving. Back in the day, there was no auto saving. You had to manually save with Control S. So whenever I fell asleep at night, she would continue working on the computer. And I taught her how to turn off the monitor, but not to turn off the computer. Next day in the morning, as soon as I woke up, before I even turn on the screen, I will go and hit Control S, and I will wait for the diskette to finish saving the file, and then I will turn on the screen, and hopefully what she worked the previous night wouldn't go to waste. Um, and so a lot of hard work, and in the very last payment that I ended up making it 2 or 3 days delayed, I figure that the loan was not given to me by the bank. The loan was actually given to me by the bank manager. It would have been illegal for the bank to give a loan to a minor. She ended up giving me the loan. She was no longer in the bank. To this day, I'm still looking for her. I don't know who she is. I don't know what her name is, but I'm still looking for her to be able to help her. Sorry, to thank her for what she did. Because when it comes to angel investment, I don't think that that I have seen anyone that has been more of an angel investing her money than she was with me.
I mean, that's an amazing that, that you must have really, she must have seen something in you, or, I mean, and it's having those kind of support, and at that moment, it really has enabled you to, to do a lot of things, and having that early support is just critical for, for where you are today. And so it would be amazing if we could track her down and,
Yeah.
and find out. But that's an incredible story to have someone that takes a bet on you, right? Something that's all
Yep.
it takes, right? And so that's a great reminder of, of, the impact that people can have